What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. It's Saturday, NBA Talk with Jay. We're here doing this shit for you guys, man, 6 days a week, man. Hit that like button, subscribe, go get a shirt as well, man. It's Us Against The Bookies. We're always trying to cash every single day. Shark, what's up with you, my brother? Everything cool with you?
Absolutely. Taking a breath. Beautiful Saturday morning. I was just taking it in here in Pennsylvania. Crispy, cool, cloudy skies. Shit I did not get in Florida, I'll tell you that. I love the fall. I love the late fall. I love Saturday NBA basketball. We got college football today. We got everything going on. Big card, a couple plays. Jay Money, lead the way, and let's get in there.
Yeah, let's get in there, man. It's college basketball, it's college football. You got NFL tomorrow, NBA today, man. Like I say, though, man, we're here 6 days a week. If you can, hit the like button, subscribe, retweet the show as well, guys. If you can, we work for you guys. But first game up, we're going over here to the streets of LA here, Sharp. We got the Clippers laying 1.5 points versus the Brooklyn Nets. This game was at 2. It's since come down, maybe showing some sharp money here on the Nets. Obviously, this team has been red hot without Kyrie Irving over there. Maybe a little bit addition by subtraction. And I'm not betting against them right now as well. They also have the #1 defensive rating over the last 5 games as well. So the Nets actually starting to play some defense. We know that they Cam Thomas, Kevin Durant, guys like Seth Curry, they're starting to round into form here as well. Sharp, what do you think the Nets can keep it going here?
Yeah, this is a tough game. The first thing I wrote down last night when I started to look at this game was just emphatically, we cannot look at this team to cap before the previous 4 games. Take Steve Nash out, take Kyrie Irving out. This is a completely new team. And we had talked about this for not only this season, but going back to last season and the previous season. This team has been all over the grid, personnel, front office, coaching, everything. Total, utter chaos and disarray. I think they're starting to find something now. They've only played 4 games again in this scenario, but they are 4-0 ATS. You go to the other side of this game, it's going to be difficult, however, because the Clippers have been equally lackluster, and the Clippers also seem to be rounding into form. The Clippers are 5-1 straight up in their last 6 ball games after starting the season 2-4. Excuse me. You go back to last year, this line is not giving you any transparency whatsoever. Brooklyn did win last year in LA, 124-108. Clippers came back on the road late season on a ridiculous Brooklyn minus 13.5 line and did win 120-116 without Kawhi Leonard and PG-13. So it's a rock on ice game. So you get a Brooklyn revenge game. You get a Clippers number. You get both teams in a funky environment here where they both should come up. And Jay, we've talked about this every single time we find a game that's a tip-off at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's an added layer of confusion. We just don't know how these guys are going to come out at that time of the day. Free play, I would lean Brooklyn, but I'm not liking this game really at all.
Exactly. And first game of a back-to-back. The Nets do have the Lakers tomorrow. Like you said, Clippers won 5 of the last 6. This is their 4th straight home game before they head out on the road for a couple games. So it is something that I don't necessarily like to do or necessarily think it's a buy-on spot. It's usually a buy-on spot for the home team when they've been at the house for a while, 4 straight games. So tough spot for me to make an official play-in, but I would lean Nets there to keep it going there, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Washington, D.C. here. Other side of the country, we have the Wizards getting 3.5 points versus the Jazz here, my guys. Obviously, Jazz been red hot here, Shark. Wizards still without Bill. I believe Porzingis is going to play here. How you liking this game?
By hat, engaged. 6 p.m. on the East Coast. Utah Jazz, we're getting into the environment now. First time this season. Should have happened earlier, as Jay said, but we're into it here on a suddenly not so casual Saturday, November 12th, 2022. And what you're looking at here, as Jay said, this Utah team is 11-2 ATS, which is just impressive, to say one word. And when you start to really go through it, it's just sustainable stuff. I mean, they're covering against everybody. They're covering as a road dog, a home dog, favorite, East, West, you name it. They get a full rest spot here off 3 nights of rest. And they come in here in what is actually a great line functionality spot. I always talk about this. I start my cap there, then I go into the layered detail analysis. But Go back to last year. Utah as a road favorite, crucial point. Books have a grip in an out-of-conference matchup despite roster moves. -7 at Washington. Blowout, 123-98. Came back a few games later in Utah. It was short by a hook. It should have been 10-10.5. It was 9.5. It was telling a Washington revenge story. Washington did get them on the road outright, 109-103. So now you come back here and you find a spot that you want to buy. Washington is 3-0 ATS last 3. Key point here, the only time that Utah has lost on the road this year, it was at Houston where we had this correctly. That was a revenge game for Houston, which is why we had that. This is the opposite, revenge game for Utah. Also, on that particular day on the calendar, Utah was on a 3rd and 4 road back-to-back fatigue spot. They're rested here. I think we're buying into an environment. Jay, you and I were talking about this off the air. Sacramento, Utah, Indiana, a couple of these teams, you can really buy into an environment. And these teams, just like Cleveland last year, just because they covered 10 or 12 games, this should continue theoretically through Christmas. And then it might reset then. We're buying into it today. Utah Jazz on the road, -3 unit.
Yeah, I couldn't talk you off here, man. Jazz sitting here at 3.5. Yeah, they've covered 8 straight as well, my guys. So I'm not going against it. No, 7 straight. They've covered 7 straight. It's going to be 8 straight today, my guys. This line was at 4, since come down to 3.5. Maybe some sharp money on the Wizards here, but yeah, regardless here, the only way I can look at it is the Jazz. You don't bet against the Jazz right now, guys. It's pretty much that simple. It's either you're taking them or you stay off the game. Obviously, Wizards coming off somewhat of a fluky win. Found out that the Mavs had took a bus ride up there. They couldn't even get a plane ride from Orlando. So that full game was a little bit fluky there. I think that was more on the Mavs really run out of gas there. They beat them without Porzingis and Bill. It's unsustainable stuff, in my opinion. The way the Jazz have been playing, I don't see why they would let down or not cover this game. Probably win by 10 points, my guys. Let's go over here to the streets of Detroit here. We got the Pistons getting 9.5 points at the house versus the Boston Celtics here, Shark. You like something here?
Well, this is a difficult game for me. I wanted to take Detroit here, but when I started to go through more layered analysis of it, when we talked about this the other day, when, of course, Boston did cover at home 128-112 on what was an 11.5 juiced up to 13.5, 14 in some spots, the key point here is the clustered environment. Last year, Detroit did cover all 4 games against Boston, and Jay had talked about this even going back further in previous seasons, even more consistent ATS domination. So when Detroit has handled this team for that long, and now Boston finally gets one, it's hard to theoretically think that Detroit's going to auto bounce back. The entire environment should sustainably shift to Boston. And the Boston line is here. They did open 11.5 at home. They opened at 9.5 here. Should have been 8.5. It's showing 1 point of strength. You go back to a couple of the matchups last year, not symptomatic of what we saw in a 16-point loss a couple nights ago. There was a game that finished exactly at 9, exactly at 11. And unfortunately, I think you're just gambling on this line. And one final point, you go back to last weekend, on a similar situation, Boston did go on the road in a home road back-to-back and cover against the Knicks, 133-118. Detroit at home is far better than they are on the road. However, I think a key point here, if you look at their home calendar specifically, they're more efficient against the West, and they're more efficient as a favorite situational game against the Magic. As an underdog against the East at home, their worst environment. As much as I want to take Detroit, I think Boston might just do what they do, go in, shoot threes, and just heat check the game. And it's difficult stuff, Jay.
Yeah, that's a good point. One thing, point to the line, though, with Cade Cunningham being kind of questionable or out, they could definitely affect the line as well. Obviously, he was in that game in Boston. He definitely shown to mean at least 1.5 to the line. I know when he was ruled out yesterday, it went up from Knicks -8 to 9.5 there. So there could be something with the line. I don't have a play in this game. I would lean Pistons. Obviously, they've been playing terrible. It's a back-to-back for both games, but for both teams here. But I could kind of feel that maybe the Celtics rest one of their stars. Jaylen Brown kind of got a little banged up. Him and Tatum got a little banged up last game. It's a totally uninspiring game. They got up yesterday versus the Nuggets. They'll win, like I say, with a back-to-back with travel. I just don't want to. I don't feel comfortable laying double digits with the Celtics here on the road in an uninspiring game. So Pistons are trash, but it also wouldn't be surprised if they kept this game close, lose the game outright, but keep it close. And also wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics rested one of their stars, obviously knowing they can win this game even with the backups, my guys. So I'm not laying 9.5 with the Celtics. We're lean Pistons in that one, guys. Let's go up here to the streets of Indiana here, Shark. We got the Pacers laying 1.5 points versus the Toronto Raptors in this one. I know Van Fleet left last night's game with an illness, didn't return. So he don't be surprised if Van Fleet is out tonight, Shark. They're still missing Siakam as well. You like some in this game?
I do. First time wearing this hat in the history of the Jay and Shark NBA payday show. Let me get this thing to fit a little bit here because I've barely worn it in my life, but a beautiful one it is. Indiana Pacers, buy hat engaged. And as I said with the Jazz, we're trying to buy into these teams who are showing sustainable wind. And I do think there's a lot more to this cap than just buying into a team with sustainable wind. Indiana, of course, is 6-0 ATS last 6. They're 4-2 ATS at home, but go to the other side of this game. I think this is just an absolutely brutal spot for Toronto. Toronto is in just a horrendous schedule travel spot. Go back to last weekend. Toronto played in Dallas. Then they played at home against Chicago. Then the very next night, they played in Chicago. Then they came back home for Houston. Now they went to Oklahoma City and Indiana. This is, I believe, their 5th or 6th game in the last 8 to 9 days. This is a 3rd and 4 road back-to-back. The only other 3rd and 4 road back-to-back they had, they pushed at Miami. Crucial point, though, Miami gave that up late. Miami was in control the entire game and melted it off. And I think that's more symptomatic to Miami Heat basketball early season, not playing 4 quarters, not worried about blowing teams out. Miami could have hammered them that day by 30 points. If you really look at that early box score, they just let their foot off the gas. And the only other back-to-back scenario was Monday night at Chicago, a 111-97 loss. And if you go through the line functionality of this matchup, it's telling you a great story. Go back a couple matchups last year. Indiana at home lost as a -3 favorite. Same gym off a loss, it came up to 4.5, showing significant strength. And Indiana did hammer them at home, 114-97. Late season with a lot of roster moves, but again, letting the line tell you the story. Huge gap. Indiana -4.5 came all the way over to Toronto -12. 16.5 gap. 16.5 gap's a blowout line. What happened? Toronto 131-91, a 40-point win. Indiana off that 40-point loss. Blowout shit. 12 gap now down to Pick'em. I'm at moneyline 110. It's getting steamed up. I think that's sharps, maybe some public, but it is unequivocally all boxes checked. The correct side. Indiana Pacers -110, 1 unit official.
Yeah, I like it here. 5th game in 7 nights for the Raptors here. 3rd and 4 road back-to-back. Not the best of spots. They've been traveling all over the place, like you said as well. Not a couple of games in the same gym since October 31st, my guys. So they've definitely been traveling all over the place. What do the Pacers like to do? They like to run and gun. It's really a horrible spot for a Raptors team who already somewhat struggle offensively sometimes. If the Pacers get the run and gun, they could really run them off the floor here. It's a sharp look, Sharp, in this one. Definitely going to have to ride with my guy in this one, man. Let's go over here to the streets of Philadelphia here. We got the Sixers laying 3 points versus the Atlanta Hawks in this one, guys. Obviously, quick revenge spot. These two teams just played down in Atlanta. Atlanta cleaned them up, and there when we suggested maybe Hawks first quarter full game, they end up cashing. I believe the trifecta there. Shark, you think the Sixers can come back home and get some revenge here?
I do. And I think there's a lot of situational analysis going through this. I want to pull up the schedules real quick because I was looking at it last night, and for both teams, we have very specific stuff here. If you go through the Sixers calendar, the Sixers have already played 2 situations where they play the same Eastern Conference opponent in back-to-back games. And guess what? They split both ATS. At Toronto, 10-point loss, came back the next night, blowout win by 22. And I think even more specifically, Monday, October 31st, Halloween night, at Washington, a win at -4 road, 118-111, came home against Washington in the home-and-home sequence, which is exactly what this is tonight. and they were laying a short -5.5 at home, which was a Washington line. And what did Washington do? Washington got them 121 to 111. This is the opposite. They were a +1 dog at Atlanta, did lose. Atlanta hammered them 104-95. Atlanta was in control the entire game. Now this line opened up at 3.5. It actually is a 5 gap. That was actually an Atlanta 1.5 open. Should be 3. It's showing situational strength to the 76ers. And you go to the other side of this game with Atlanta. Again, Atlanta doing the same thing, splitting ATS environments with teams this year. At Detroit, non-cover. Second game at Detroit, blowout win. At Milwaukee, non-cover. Home versus Milwaukee, blowout win. All boxes are checked here tonight. Philadelphia should get this one by more than 5 points in a potential emphasis spot. 1 unit official, -3.
Yeah, I couldn't talk you off here, especially with, like you said, Philly in the revenge spot as well. They do have Utah on deck, but can't really look ahead to Utah as well. And something I like to do, guys, when a team has been at the house for 3 or 4 more home games, when they go to a new gym, it's usually a fade in that first quarter. So if I had to play in this game, I'd be looking at Philly first quarter. It's basically, we were just like Hawks first quarter and Hawks full game last game. This could be the one where it's Philly's first quarter. They get a nice little lead and cover the full game as well. So that's how I'm looking at it. I like the Sixers look there, Shark, and I would lean Sixers first quarter as well. It's mainly of a fade of the Hawks. Obviously a high shooting team. When you go into a new gym after being in the same gym for 4 straight games, it's definitely an adjustment period there. So wouldn't be a bit surprised to see the Sixers cover the first quarter in this one, my guys. Let's go over here down to the streets of Miami here. We have the Heat laying 10.5 points versus the Hornets. Another back-to-back game here. Obviously, we saw it in the first game. The Heat have no business laying 10.5 versus anyone. But sometimes, what do we see happen? The team come out lackluster the first time versus the team. They don't cover. They win the game, but don't cover ATS. They'll come back in the next game and absolutely smoke them. My only problem here is that was your time to smoke them when the Hornets were on 5th and 7 in a home road back-to-back, and you still couldn't blow them out. So now it's somewhat of equal rest advantage here, Shark. You think the Heat can smack them up here this time?
It's a great question. This game is difficult stuff. As you mentioned, back-to-back games in the same stadium. Previous game, Miami could have hammered them. They hammered them through 3 quarters. They were cruising the spread. They were right on their way to a 14, 15-point win. And what did Miami do? They did exactly what I just said they did against Toronto. They took their foot off the gas in the 4th quarter. Miami is not playing 48 minutes of basketball right now in early season 22-23 NBA basketball. And, we talked about this yesterday in terms of teams trending up or down. And I think Charlotte is actually trending up here if we really go through this. Obviously, this team is coming in here, I believe, on an L7 outright, which is theoretically a buy spot. Inevitably, the team's going to win a game at some point. Now you get a revenge game, but the key point here, you get a game where they did lose in overtime. So they showed the ability to play. And I do think Miami here, again, is not showing motivation. And if there was even more reason not to motivate in this game, Miami has a look ahead. Miami plays Phoenix at home on Monday night. So when Miami comes into this gym, and I think they're changing their name. They said it's no longer FTX Arena. They lost a lot of crypto stock, and they're pissed off. They're changing the name of the arena. No longer the arena. It's a new arena. So they're going to change the arena name. It's going to change their flow in this season. But who knows what's going on there. We're changing the arena name. We're going to come in here and hammer Phoenix on Monday night. I don't know about this one. I think this is probably a Charlotte spot. I think it's going to be a tight game tonight.
That's a good point there. Yeah, you make good points, especially with them off of L7. They took them to overtime when they were in the most horrible spot you can get. So now you at least have a day off as well. You make some good points, man. Maybe Hornets plus the points is the right side. I know I'm not laying 10. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's going to be spots that they're going to cash it, but right now the Heat don't look in sync. I can't lay double digits with them. Like I said, that was their spot for them to smoke them last game. They almost lost the game outright and had to go to overtime. So that's a good look there, Shark. Wouldn't be surprised if the Hornets did cash that one. Let's go over here to the streets of New Orleans here real quick, man. We got the Pelicans laying 10.5 points versus the Houston Rockets in this one. Obviously, the Rockets have the offense to keep up with these guys, Shark, but do they have the defense? We've seen them time and time again on the road just let go of the road defensively, kind of when they get down or the home team goes on a run. We know that the Pelicans are due to come up as well. Only 6-6 on the season, 3-7 against the spread last 10, coming off a home loss as well versus the Blazers team with no Dame Lillard. I could see the Pelicans being really pissed off here tonight. it's a tough game for me, Shark. I don't have official play, but I would lean to the Pelicans to probably smack them up by 20 points here.
I agree with you. I think this is definitely a New Orleans spot. I'm not on it officially. Again, maybe I'll make this official later, but it's all pointing to New Orleans. We had talked about this before the game against Portland, and we said the real identifiable point for this team is just how awful their early season travel schedule has been. They're all over the country. They clustered so many road games. Even to this point, they've played 8 road versus 4 home games. They are it's brutal. I don't know what the schedule makers said. You know what they said? They saw a lot of sexy prognostication in the offseason where people said Pelicans are going to go to the finals. By the Pelicans, they said, no, sir, we're going to give you a hell of a schedule, and we're going to make you a huge favorite every freaking game so you can't cover any spreads. And that's kind of what's happened here. And I talked about it with the Portland line. I said the Pelicans went to the first round of the playoffs, but they're getting basically conference championship style lines. Like all these lines suggest so much more in terms of their actual performance before. It's basically preemptively adjusted, where usually it's not. Usually it's a team wins a title, and then they're like, all right, this is a championship team. Now we juice the lines. This is preemptive juice, and it's tough stuff with the Pelicans. But I do think when you look at Houston comes in here in a fade spot. Houston's 1-4 ATS at the West. Houston has showed more efficiency against the East. They are 2-1 ATS at the East. Houston is also 2-0 ATS last 2, so theoretically a fade spot. And for whatever reason, this seems to matter sometimes. I have written down here, Houston is 0-2 ATS on the road on a Saturday night. So just take that into account. It's a young group, Saturday night, they don't ball out. It is what it is, but this line is definitely on it. Last year, the last 3 matchups, New Orleans won by 13, 13 again, and in the most recent matchup, 25. Last line was 6.5 at home, win by 25, up to 10.5. The line's on it. I'm looking at this with some significance. I think New Orleans hammers them tonight.
Yeah, honestly, like I say, I didn't have a play on this game. I do have the Pelican socks on, guys, but I'll be honest, I didn't make a play on this game. Sorry, I don't have any officials today. You guys want me to force some and lose, or you see what I'm saying? I don't really have anything super strong today. Got a lot of shit going on as well, my guys. But yeah, 8 of the 7. This will be their 8th road game, guys, out of 9 games for the Rockets here. It's absolutely terrible stuff. I know that they've had a couple of days off coming up there from Toronto, but 4th and last game of a road trip. The Rockets did not play well on the road, guys. They've lost 7 of their last 8 games as well. And like I said, they can really just let go of the rope sometimes. That's what I sense from the Rockets team. I like they can play offense with some of the best of them. It's their defense, though, and they don't have a ton of paint protection as well. So Valanciunas, Zion, they can really get whatever they want. Ingram in their paint, if they want to come out and throttle this team, which I don't see why they wouldn't, being only 1-3 their last 4 games, the Pelicans could do whatever the hell they want to in this one. So I could maybe see first half or something for Rockets, but full game, this one should definitely get away from them. They should run out of gas. Pelicans probably smoke these guys by 20 here tonight, my guys. You might have to find some type of way to get on the Pelicans here. Last game up, Shark. We're going over here to the streets of Dallas here, man. We got the Mavs laying 5 points versus the Blazers here. Blazers on the last game of a 5th game road trip here. It's not necessarily a buy on spot. They did rest some guys in there. The Mavs aren't necessarily playing their best right now. Like I did mention, they had to take a bus ride up to Washington, lost that game. They're coming off 2 straight losses now. Come back home where they've won their last 4 games at the house, Shark. You think that 5 is too much here? Can the Blazers continue to be competitive? This is their 6th and final road game of this 6-game road trip, my guy.
Yeah, this is tough. This is real tough. But, as I mentioned last night, we were talking about this off the record. I wanted to lean Dallas, but then I found what essentially was a very, very similar environment for Portland as to what happened last year against New Orleans. And we had said this before Portland went in and obviously covered and won outright against New Orleans in the last game. But last year, New Orleans had hammered them 3 times. This is the same thing here. Dallas last year, Jay, you know this. I know you know this, but I'll say it to everybody watching on a beautiful Saturday morning. Here it is. Dallas absolutely obliterated Portland. 132-117, 132-112, and 128-78. And Books had that line juiced up. It might have been the highest line of the entire season. That particular game I'm referencing here, this what is that, a 50-point win? Dallas was laying 20 points in the game. I think that was the biggest line in the entire campaign. So it's very similar stuff. You get a 3x revenge game. Portland got insulted all 3 last year. They're going to remember that. It's Chauncey Billups. The guy's a competitor. It's Damian Lillard. It's these guys. I don't know. I have written down here Dallas situation because Dallas has been so awful for about 7 straight games. But counterpoint, it is Portland line and revenge. So I got nothing here. I could see it go either way here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let me see what the total sitting at 217. Thinking maybe an under spot, maybe like a tighter defensive type of game. I know the Blazers, they've been playing some really good defense. 5 of their last 6 games have went under. They've covered 6 of the last 7 as well, but 5 of their last 6 has went under. I think what they do on the road is they try to really beat you with their defense. This team is playing some good defense this year. Mavs are a good defense team as well. It's kind of crazy to say, man, but I'd lean to the under here. I could see more. I could see more of a defensive playoff style type of game. Look, we know the Mavs, they play at a slow tempo. They're not trying to run and gun with you. Luka's basically pounding the ball for 20 seconds out of the shot clock, and then they throw up a shot basically with like 4 or 5 seconds left. So I can really see this being a playoff style game. Blazers last game of a 6-game road trip. They won't really want to run and gun. I can see them winning with their defense. Playing the game, trying to win with their defense. Would lean heavily to the under there, my guys. That's it, man. That's it on the card. Talk about some shirts real quick, man. We still got shirts over here. Jay and Shark shirts, Smack City, and Us Against The Bookies. And let's get some cash shirts, my guys. Still got this NBA Talk with Jay shirt as well. I guess nobody likes it. I don't mind because I'll wear all of them, my guys. But let's get over here to some free picks. But we still have plenty of shirts, my guys. I'll be sending them out, obviously, when I get to the new spot. But you can still order a shirt. You can still get $10 off as well, man. So DM me. I believe I said until the 15th. So still get $10 off. Y'all let me know, my guys. And let's get to some free picks. Today it's all Shark today, my guys. Unfortunately, I don't have any not free picks, but I don't have any official picks, guys. I don't have anything today for you. I'm sorry, man. We did the NFL show. I got a 2-unit special for tomorrow. And that's it, my guys. But Shark, break him off with the officials, my guys. He's going undefeated today.
Absolutely. Love the big energy on a beautiful Saturday morning. 3 top plays, and I'm looking at New Orleans now. I think this might be an additional play. I had said 4 on Twitter, but we cut Detroit. Detroit's not a good look. So 3 top plays as of now. Buy engaged. 76ers revenge game. This is their 3rd matchup playing the same team twice back-to-back. They've already split twice before. Great line number, great situation. Let's dominate tonight. Philadelphia, Indiana Pacers, great fade spot of Toronto. We're at the money line at 110. Wouldn't talk you off the spread at 1.5. I think Indiana wins this game by 8 to 10 points. And Utah Jazz on the road, revenge game, continuing upward movement in this very beginning of what is a surprising campaign for them at -3. Saturday morning, J Money, hell of a show. Close them out and let's dominate.
Yeah, man, that's it. That's it for us, man. Probably my last show in this spot, my guys. You guys wish me luck, my guys, on my journey. See what I'm saying? Shark has some hell of a plays today. I'm probably gonna ride with him. I just don't feel like sweating anything out officially. I won't be on my phone much today. I'm just packing up. Got a lot of shit going. I hope you guys understand. I would lean Nets, Jazz, Pistons, Pacers, Sixers first quarter. I don't know what to do. I'm not laying 10 with the Heat, so I guess I would lean Hornets, lean Blazers, Mavs under, lean the Pelicans, my guys. I wish you guys the best of luck. Let's get some cash. It's Us Against The Bookies always, guys. Let's take these efforts to Smack City. We're going to pick up cash from yesterday. See what I'm saying? We cashed a huge play, but we back on Monday, my guys. We're back on Monday. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the support as well. We appreciate your time for coming to watch these shows. Let's get some cash. We're here on a Saturday. Sharks going 3-0, 4-0 today. It's Us Against The Bookies. We back on Monday, my guys. We out. Go check out the NFL show for a 2-unit banger. It's cash.